Welcome to another $1 Masterclass tutorial with me, Clay. This is the second video of the first blues class. So this is the follow-on from the very first blues class that we do, and in this one we cover a bit of the theory. So if you're not interested in the theory, or you feel you don't need it, don't bother watching this video. If you are interested, we're going to get into a little bit of the theory behind it. We don't want to get too bogged down with it. But so let's look at we're going to look at why the blues is kind of different to kind of jazz and pop and rock. So essentially what we've got is we've got a pentatonic scale. Pentatonic, so penta means five note scale. Now the easiest way to visualise the pentatonic scale, we've got two types. We've got a major and a minor. Just like with C major, we've got C major, we've got C minor, four different minors I did there. That's covered in the foundation tutorials if you're interested in the different minors. But so every major key has a relative minor key. So if we were in C major, our relative minor would be down 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the natural minor or Aeolian mode. So we've got C major is twinned with A minor. And we go down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the easiest way to visualise on the piano keyboard the pentatonic scale is to look at the black keys. So if we look at the 3 and 2, this is a major pentatonic. This is why kids, when they first get on a piano, they like to play all this kind of thing, because it just works. It really works. It's nice and easy and simple, and you're not going to hit a note that kind of jars. So here's our major pentatonic. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. All the degrees of the scale. If we looked at an F sharp major scale, it would be this. And we're leaving out this and this, which leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And the relative minor of F sharp is 1, 2, 3, 4, or twiddly dum, twiddly dum here. Keep the same notes. So we're basically taking this one and put it down here. This is a minor pentatonic. Sounding bluesy now already because I put this E flat dominant 7 in there. And I'm using this. And then what we do with the blues is we introduce this little extra note here. Because the blues comes from kind of stringed instruments like guitars, banjos, this kind of thing, where we can bend the notes. Obviously we can't bend the notes on the piano, so we just have to put the note in the middle. If we look at the major pentatonic, it uses the major blues scale uses this same note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and a cluster between 2 and 3. So we get this major and minor third effect. So we end up with this. Here's our major blues. So our minor blues, again, it's exactly the same. We just take this note, put it down here. So it's 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and a cluster between 4 and 5. Okay, so that's our pentatonic scale is the 5-note scale, and the blues scale we just have that little kind of bent note in the middle, gives it that kind of twang. So in the previous tutorial we were looking at a blues in C. So we're basically going to let's take our major pentatonic, Actually no, let's take our minor pentatonic, sorry. Here's our minor pentatonic, we're going to use our minor pentatonic in this. So we've got 1, minor 3, 4, 5, flat 7, and this cluster between 4 and 5. So here we are, so that's our C minor blues, and this is our C minor pentatonic. The relative major of C, we go up twiddly-dum, up 1, 2, 3, 4, twiddly-dum. Here it is, E flat major. So if we made that an E flat major blues scale, it would be this. Now, as we'll look at in some of the later tutorials, we often kind of mix the major and minor blues scale in the same blues. So if we're in C, we might use this scale. We might also use the major. So I'm kind of alternating between the two. We'll get into that a bit later in some of the later tutorials. So at the moment we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to stick with the minor blues scale. So our focus, as we were talking about in the previous video, our focus in this first couple of blues tutorials is the right hand, getting the right hand moving freely so that we know what notes we've got available and we can kind of think then about how we're going to create our improvisation. And remember, as I always say, space and phrasing is really important. We don't just want like a continuous stream of notes. So what we're doing with the left hand is we use those three shapes that we looked at in the previous video. So we've got our C7 here, and then what we've done is instead of playing this, we've taken this and we put it down here. So we call this voice leading. Usually we'll try and keep the root note of the chord on the bottom, but it's not always possible. Obviously if we're playing with a bass player, well, we won't really be playing the root note at all. Bass players don't really like anybody doing that. So we wouldn't even do this, would we? We'd probably play it up here, basically down here. So what we're doing is we're taking the three essential notes. And again, we covered this in some of the foundation videos, if you're interested in this kind of theory. So basically, if we look at any chord, we've got, the thing with the blues is we've got three major chords, and in fact they're three dominant chords. Normally in a key we only have one dominant chord, and that's on the 5th degree of the scale. Again, don't worry too much about that. The blues is different. So the blues we have, here's a dominant 7, so it's basically a major chord with a flat 7. It's called a dominant 7 because it dominates and it wants to pull us back. So this, we'd expect this to be chord 5 of F. So more like we expect this. That's what we'd expect in classical harmony. Blues isn't like that. So this isn't going anywhere. This is C. We're saying this is C, and it's got a flat 7. It goes to F, but F7 as well. So it hasn't arrived. And then it goes to G7, F7, C7. So the only reason why we know this is in C blues because it keeps coming back to C more than any other chord. So in a 12-bar blues, we've got 4 bars of C, then we have, this is in the key of C obviously, so we have 4 bars of C, then we have 2 bars of F, another 2 bars of C, so So that's 6 bars. Yeah, 6 bars of C. And in the last set of 4, we've got 1 bar of G, 1 bar of F, and another 2 of C. So in a 12-bar blues, we've got 8 bars of C, and then 4 bars, 3 bars of F, 1 bar of G. So you can see it's weighted on the C all the time, and so that's why it sounds like it's in C, even though all 3 chords are dominant 7 chords. So if we weighted it more on F, it would sound like it was an F. So the nice thing with the blues is we only have these 3 chords that we have to worry about, we have to think about. There are some other nice little fills and things that we can do in different kind of voicings. But essentially we've got this chord, and one of these, and that's it. And they're all the same type of chord. We normally leave out the 5th because it doesn't really add anything. So unless the chord is like augmented or diminished, which is referring to the 5th, there's an augmented, there's a diminished, that's major. So this is extra major, if you like, and this is extra minor. In a dominant 7, we don't have that, so we leave it out. It's much more comfortable to play, much easier to play. So you can see, if you find like a nice little phrase that you like the sound of, repeat it. Don't throw it away. Use it. If you ever, one of the first things they teach you in composition class is to kind of don't introduce too many ideas. You don't use up all your ideas. Develop them. And when we're improvising, it's the same thing, but we're just doing it on the fly. So the same rules apply. Keep your powder dry, and also if you come up with a nice idea and there's space around it, you'll remember it, and then you can reuse it if you want to, or you can use it over another chord, and it works really well. So we might take this. Let's say we were going from our G chord, and we were doing something like this. Okay, that's not great, but let's say okay. Well, we're going to reuse that again. And one last thing, as we mentioned in the previous video, avoid coming back to here all the time. Practice your blues scale starting in different parts of the keyboard. Practice starting here. Don't think of it like a scale, just think of it like there's a collection of 6 notes. So a pentatonic plus a little extra cluster in the middle here. So you can start that scale anywhere, and we use that over all 3 chords. And we're using a nice simple left hand because our focus is on the right hand. I hope that all makes sense, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.